welcome to the pod. I'm Kenzie. I'm your host, and this is Patricia joining us. She's our first ever, what's the word? Guest.
Yeah, that would be it.
We're going to start with how we met. I guess I was going regularly to the post office to ship things for my work, like parcels and such. And then they just kept telling me, you do know there's another American in town? And I said, yeah, there's a few of us. Like, it's getting pretty populated with Americans in Kapunda. And they're like, no, there's a specific woman you would just get along with so well. And I was like, oh, I'm sure she's brilliant. And then the next time I went to the post office, then Patricia had written a handwritten note saying, pretty much, call me, let's get coffee. And so I did. And then, yeah.
That was it.
That was it.
I walked into the post office too, and our brilliant postmasters say, Patricia, have you met the other American woman? Yeah. I said, there's another crazy American woman. And we need to clarify that we live in Kapunda.
Yeah.
And I love to say, I moved down under. I live in Kapunda down under, not far from Tanunda and close to Udunda.
Yeah.
Because we are in a little rural regional country town.
Yeah. It's tiny. What's the population here? Do you know?
I think over 5,000.
Okay. Less than 10,000 though, for sure.
Over 5,000. But they had the biggest smiles on their face and they said, have you met her? And I said, no, I don't even know about her. So that's when I wrote my name and number down and didn't really quite think about it again until I got home. Later, received a message.
Yep.
And the beautiful thing was we got to meet in a local cafe. And then I was shocked because there was another American woman, your sister.
Yeah.
Your sister. And then I found out your mother lives in a town away too. So
yeah,
it's just dynamic. And that's what little towns do. They look after you.
That's so true.
They try to create connections.
And community.
Yeah.
It's such a focus in like small country towns in Australia. And it's pretty similar in America too. Like they love their little community events and everything. And
they do.
Yeah, the closer you get to the city, I think you kind of lose that a little bit, don't you?
You do. But honestly, Kenzie, I would think, well, when I first moved here in Adelaide, there were great big billboards. I moved here in 2001.
Okay.
And they would say Adelaide is Memphis's sister city.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I thought that was a beautiful thing because Memphis is considered like a big country town.
Right.
And when you compare Adelaide to Melbourne and Sydney and all these other cities too, they do think of us as a big country town.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really like that reputation because I think Adelaide is one of the best cities in the world.
Oh, it literally is. Yeah.
Anybody could live there and be happy.
And you're from Memphis.
And I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, so I did not expect to find another American living here. It's just been so good. I'm so grateful for it.
Me too. Yeah, it's been such a blessing to kind of just connect, and it makes you feel kind of nostalgic for home a little bit, but it just feeds that little part of your heart that has that familiarity.
It's true because no matter where I go and how long I've lived in this town for 24 years now.
Right.
I just walked into the library last week and this young gorgeous girl said, oh, are you just visiting? Are you just passing through? But thank goodness another older guy came to my defense and said, no, she's married to an artist. She's been living here for 24 years. But then when I returned to Memphis to be with my friends and family, they look at me and they listen to me and they say, what in the hell has happened to you?
Yeah, what is that accent?
And then bring in my British husband, his lips don't move when he speaks. And he swears up and down. He said the only thing when we were first married, Patricia, my darling, they are tomatoes.
Yeah.
So now I say...
So do you have to say tomato?
Well, I don't have to, but I do, because he says it all the time and I get this look, so... Saying tomatoes in Memphis is probably not the best idea.
That's so funny. Wow. So can you kind of go into a little bit about how you and Marcus met and what brought you to Australia?
Well, I do normally tell people that's a 5-hour story and a bottle of French champagne and you're buying.
Yeah.
But I'll try to condense it. It was 2000. You're so young, but it was the millennium. And that's when computers were going to stop working.
Okay.
And that's when we weren't going to use paper anymore. You know, when 2000 hit, everything was going to change in the world.
Yeah, I remember.
And I invited my mother to Duluth, Georgia. I was living in Georgia at the time. I was living in a country club estate, and there was going to be a symphony, beautiful live music, and ice sculpture and dancing, gold and glitter. And I wanted Judy to fly from Memphis to Duluth. I said, I'll fly you out, let's do it. And she goes, no, darling, I'm going to Australia to be with your sister, and I'm going for 60 days.
Yeah, right.
And Kinsey, my heart sank. And then I was jealous.
Okay.
Constance was this force to be reckoned with, but she was 5 years older than I was. And I thought, well, they've been brewing this for a while. You know, they've been talking about this. You just don't make international plans and then just do it.
How far off was this that she was going over to Australia?
Was a month.
Okay.
A month before.
Yeah.
So
they knew.
Especially
back then. Like, they would plan 6 or 12 months ahead.
Yeah. You better believe it. My feelings were hurt. I was a little ticked off. Oh. But my mother said, Patricia, you're a grown woman. It is what it is. I'm going to be with Constance. I'm going for 2 months.
Right.
So she did. Mother and Constance, Judy and Constance were joined at the hip the entire time. They had the best time together. But one day, on a Saturday morning, Constance was going to go to the hardware store in Gawler, which is just about 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And my sister's driving scared everybody to death. Even my husband Marcus said, he's a great driver, but he said, I did not want to be in the car with Constance. In any event, Mother stayed back at Constance's home that she just bought. She bought a home that reminded her of a home that we had in Cordova, Tennessee. She bought horses and ponies back into her life, and she had some acreage, and she was new home, really happy. Mother was here. But on the way to Gawler, she had a car accident. She was ejected from her jackaroo, from her Jeep. And when she was ejected, her esophagus was crushed, and she was killed immediately. And the reason I'm telling you these details is because that is the exact same way my mother lost her mother. Her mother was killed when she was 8.5 years old. And I have to say, Kinsey, my mother never ever got over Constance's death. She was not the same woman, ever.
No.
And after Constance didn't return, a first respondent officer had to go to the postmaster's house at that time and say, Constance Gordon Johnson, I can't find her. Where is she? And the postmaster said, well, she did just move to this rural property.
Okay.
But please be gentle, because there's an older woman there with her now, and I think it's her mother visiting from the States. So after Constance leaves to go and run all these errands, there's a knock on the door 4 hours later.
Did your mom say she had a bad feeling or anything that something had happened, or was that kind of
she was extremely worried because Constance hadn't phoned her, and she said she was just going to be gone an hour or so. So she's a voracious reader. She had a stack of books by her, but she said she was pacing and getting really worried. And then I received a phone call in America. I was breaking up with the person that lived in the great big country club estate.
Okay.
I was upstairs. He was a kind and wonderful, fantastic man, and he called me Precious Patty. And so, big old 6'3", shaved his head, 302 pounds, huge guy, had me tattooed, a black and gray tattoo on the whole side of his arm from his shoulder down to his elbow. But anyway, I remember him, Precious Patty, you need to take this phone call. I want you to walk to me. I want you to sit down on the steps before I hand you the phone. It's your beautiful mother. And he sat by me. And Mother kept saying Constance had been in an accident, but I couldn't compute it.
Okay.
And I kept saying, what do you mean? She's going to be all right. She's in the hospital. And then Mother I was forcing her to say the words because I couldn't compute it.
Yeah, and you need that clarification when you're in a state like that, I'm sure.
I needed that clarification. My poor mother had to say it. Here she was, a Pacific Ocean between us, so far away. And it just took me a long time for it all to sink in. I wasn't going to go to Australia immediately because I thought my mother would be flying home, but you don't think clearly when it's an emergency. And I think about 3 days later, at the insistence of my mother's dearest friend and some other friends pushing me, I just bit the bullet and I flew over, and I'm so thankful I did because I helped Mom close Constance's estate. I met all these people, and when I back up, I have to tell you that Constance scared the living poop out of me. She was 5 years older. She was this artist winning awards from starting at age 12. She skipped the 11th grade in high school because she was so smart. She had that aptitude.
Okay, right.
She was just a level above.
Which is one of the hardest years of high school. Especially in the States.
One of the hardest years. And she didn't like people. She loved animals.
Really?
And she told my mother as a little bitty girl she was going to move to Australia because they had the most bizarre animals and the best wildlife on the planet.
Wow, so she's knew from an early age.
She made her dream come true.
Oh
she was determined, and she made her dream come true.
Oh,
so she
wow.
was living her best life, and she did lots of things. She did the visitor center in Goolwa.
Okay.
She was the first person in our family to graduate from university.
Wow.
She graduated in museology, so she could create and design attractions for museums.
Okay, and this is in Adelaide.
Yeah, no, this was at the University of Knoxville back in Tennessee. This
Oh,
was way before she moved here.
Okay.
But when she made up her mind, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Yep, she was a go-getter.
She was a go-getter.
So what year did she move to Australia?
I wish I could tell you.
Okay.
I am so horrible at dates. I am so horrible
was she
at
here a
dates,
few years before that had happened?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Okay.
Oh, she had a beautiful warehouse at the Port Adelaide.
Okay.
Before it was funky.
Yeah,
before
right.
it was really funky now, but Constance made it groovy. And then
she might have started that.
She was a part of
right?
it. I think she did help get it revamped and restarted again. But then she found this property out here in Allendale North, just a few minutes outside of Kapunda, and that's what she set her sights on. But no, Constance was here for a good 15, 20 years before I ever came here. This was her home.
Okay. And had you visited Australia before you came?
I had.
Okay.
I surprised her with the big guy who shaved his head.
Okay.
And she was working on a huge art project. I kept trying to contact her, but I had a wrong number.
Okay.
And when the time I finally got a hold of a friend in a little book that I had who found her, and Constance contacted me, she was madder than a hornet because she had a deadline to make this art project come to life. And
Wow.
she calmed down.
Yeah.
You know, she was not.
It just took her by surprise.
Yeah. And artists are that way.
Yeah.
They have a laser beam, a tractor beam on what they have to do. So.
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely relate. When I have a gallery that I need to edit, I'm in the zone, and if someone rocks up at my door, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna, because what happens, I think a lot with creative minds, is that once you're there, that's where you're at, and nothing else exists outside of that project. And then when someone strips you out of it, it takes so long to get back into the zone.
Exactly.
Oh man, yeah, I can sympathize for that, but at the same time, she's got her sister from another country.
Yes, and she ended up being gracious. She showed us so many different sites, and another trip, or before Constance landed at Allendale North, Mother and Constance had taken a trip on the Gann, a beautiful long train trip.
Okay.
So they could bond, and everything was fantastic. And
that's incredible.
And looking back in hindsight, Mother was exactly where she needed to be.
Absolutely.
She didn't need to be at a gala at St. Ives Country Club with ice sculptures. She needed to spend as much time as she could with her sister. Yeah. So it was a godsend. Everything was fine, and I stayed as long as I could to help Mom. Yep. I always thought Constance never approved of me. I was in her way as a little girl. There's so many stories I could tell there that would be boring sibling stories, but I did find out from all of her artist friends how much she talked about me and how much she loved me and how proud she was. So it was horrible. And my mother was never the same. I never had the same Judy after Constance was killed the same way as her mother. It was hard.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
But there was this wiry... He had the beautiful six-pack, golden brown skin, the wildest hair, never wore shoes. There was this wiry man in Allendale North building my sister an art studio. And had this very British accent. His lips never moved when he spoke. Hello, my dear. How are you, my dear? And it's Marcus. And Marcus is now my husband.
How did you meet him? How did you come across him?
Well... I had one of Constance's friends picked me up at the airport holding a sign. You know how people do, because I never knew this person.
Like the movies.
His name was Scott. He was fabulous. And not knowing someone and being picked up at the airport and being driven all the way out to Allendale.
Oh, yeah.
It was about a little over an hour and a half drive, I guess. And
that was before all the expressways and...
Before the new road was built, before everything.
Yeah.
And then he stopped by the funeral home. And he was hoping that I might be able to go in and see. Anyway, he stopped by the funeral home, and that wasn't a possibility. Okay. So, drove on out to Constance's home, and then here was this I can't remember if he was wearing a sarong or not, because Marcus wears sarongs all the time.
Okay.
You know, he looks like a little wild man.
Right.
From Borneo, and he just loves. He would probably go around naked if he could. Mm-hmm. But I remember his coming to the car door, opening it, inviting me in, welcoming me, making grand gestures, getting my suitcases, my luggage, and just making sure I got to my mother immediately, because he knew that Judy really, really needed me. It was a very emotional time. And he stayed in the background. He stayed in the background the whole time. He made copious amounts of tea, which is what the British do, and which is what Australians do. Whenever there are tears, sadness, whenever there's an argument, whenever there's fun and laughter and celebration.
It's a love language, isn't it?
Tea. Mm-hmm. Tea's just made. So I don't know how many pots of tea Marcus made for us, but that's how I met him. We had the Celebration of Life service at Constance's home, and that's where I finally got to meet all of her artist friends, which were fantastic. And then I found out along the way that Marcus was an artist too. And so he brought over his great big portfolio and showed me a lot of his drawings, and it was just such a nice diversion from trying to keep my mother propped up. Right. You know, and Constance had this thing. Constance had this thing about money. She needed to make it. She wanted to make it. She wanted to make it as an artist. And she had a pretty good name for herself. Right. Within the art community. But she would throw $5, $20, $10 bills in the most bizarre places. And she had thousands of books. Probably thousands. And she would stick bills inside of books.
To try and, like, save her money?
To try and make herself believe that I have money, I've made money. Okay. But it's not the most important thing to me. It's not what I'm here on this earth to do. So my mother ended up wearing, the hats with the fly nets, because we're in the country and there are so many flies. Yeah. Well, my mother had found coins in the most bizarre places, even in pots and pans, in nooks and crannies everywhere. So my mother looked like a little banker. She would have on this hat with a fly net, and in front of her, she had these stacks of coins. And then she'd flip open books, and sometimes $50 notes would fall out. Goodness. And so my mother said, "We can't give away all these books.
You don't know what to do.
Even if we give all the money to charity." And so she started going through, and sure enough, every day Judy was a banker. Oh, but goodness. it was funny, and it was a good thing, because every moment wasn't about tears. Yeah. And the Allendale North community was beautiful. They'd show up with food, they'd show up with casseroles, they'd show up with dishes and cakes, and Mother and I never ever had to cook. I think we would cook breakfast sometimes. And so that lasted for a good long while. Yeah, that's brilliant. And each night Marcus would be there, or he would be there during the day too, and trying to fix up the property and get it. I mean, we knew we would be putting it on the market. Right. And then we had ponies and horses. We had ponies that we needed to. It was difficult, and we couldn't have done any of it without him. He had the connections. He knew all the people. Right. So he was just very silently directing everything that needed to happen.
Wow, what a man, and what a, that's just such a beautiful kind of masculinity that you don't need to be seen. You just need to do what needs to be done, and I'm here if you need to make you tea.
That's pretty much Marcus's trademark. Yeah. That's pretty much the way he operates. Yeah. If I could draw a diagram of myself, it would be like this.
Yeah, mine too.
And this would be Marcus. Yeah. And so...
just the stability that you need to lean on.
Yeah. Yeah. He's my rock. He's the most gentle, kind, messiest, noisiest human being. He's the best man I've ever met in my life.
I remember you telling me that when we first met, and it just made my heart catch on fire, because I just said to you, I have been single for long enough to know that I'm not going to settle, and then hearing you say that, that's the goal, is to talk about your husband like he's the best person you've ever met, and he's your best friend, and you know, like the all the quirks and even the things that are kind of annoying, you just love them all because it's just a part of the whole package. And
it is the whole package.
Without one of those things would be without a part of Marcus.
That's true. And even when we're at an event, an art opening or a party, and I look across the room and I see him,
Mm-hmm.
Kinsey, I swear my heart drops. And I'll never forget Saskia Beer, Maggie Beer's oldest daughter, who sadly is now deceased. Saskia and I were very close in the beginning times when I first moved over. And Saskia catered our wedding at Chateau Tanunda.
Okay.
And those are some of the best moments of my life.
Yeah,
But I remember seeing Saskia on a day off with all the girls, and she said, Patricia, are you telling me you would rather spend time with your husband all day long on a day off than to go out and be with girls or do something else? And I said, yeah, he's my best person.
And isn't that the whole point?
She just could not believe it. She could not get over it.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
It is. It's so funny, but it's inspiring, and that's how it should be. I think people really underestimate the importance of finding a partner that you feel that way about, because you're not only bringing them into your life, but you're bringing them into your entire community of friends and family, and just even going out to the restaurants and how they're going to speak to the waiter and how they're going to present, like that they're an image of your life as well.
And you're entering their role too. Mm-hmm. And in some ways, I guess, all of Marcus's family were in Chelsea, were in London, all high flyers. And high finance, and his father was CEO of Unilever.
Okay.
Gordon Stevens, and he made the first TV commercial ever.
Wow.
In the United Kingdom.
Yeah,
and he was very, very high up. So I didn't have that pressure. Well, not until I got on a plane.
I was going to say
out there to meet them all. But anyway, they were the most precious people. I don't think they understand my southern accent. But they're all beautiful and loving people. But I didn't have that pressure. And he, too, equally, really didn't have the pressure of my family back in America.
True.
So we were finding our own paths. So
that's such a good point. You were your own little community, and you survived together for so long. So how long have you been married now?
It will be next year. This is 2025. Mm-hmm. In 2026, April the 7th, his youngest daughter's birthday, Tessa's birthday, we will be married 25 years.
Oh my goodness.
And we knew each other 1 year before that.
Yeah,
so.
Right. When you know, hey.
It's like a glove that fits. It's like this warm, comfortable glove that's beautiful and exciting to put on. And you just know that's the fit for you. Mm. You just know.
And you can't orchestrate these things. Like, you could have never planned or...
No, I was coming out here to pick up the pieces and to support my mother and to help her through her firstborn child's death. Tragic death. Yeah. A horrible reminder of her whole childhood.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much trauma would have been brought up for her?
It was too much.
It's awful.
Period.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
So you've started studying, now you've graduated with your counseling degree.
Yes.
Was this kind of something that led you to being curious about how the brain works and how interactions work and stuff from your past, do you think?
Well, there's another horrible backdrop story.
Okay.
I've always, since I have 2 children. I have my beautiful daughter back in Germantown, Tennessee, who's now happily married, and my gorgeous little, not so little, mid-20s granddaughter, Summer Day. Okay. But I also had a son, and his name was Corey. Yeah. And Corey was the first male born in 4 generations of our family. Wow. Doesn't make him any more special than my daughter.
It's a bit of a celebration.
But it was a big deal. It was a big deal because, ooh, there's a boy in the family. Here's a male. And he was just fabulous. Tall, lanky, beautiful, beautiful, golden brown skin, cornflower blue eyes, tall and skinny as a bean. And my daughter always goes, why was Corey so tall and I'm so short? I'm white. I glow in the dark. Yeah. He's bronze.
He probably had beautiful eyelashes too. Boys always have the great eyelashes.
He did. And he was just a treasure. But he never, ever found his footing in life. He was very slow to speak. Okay. And no one at Memphis State Speech and Hearing School could really give us a reason why. Wow. Very slow moving, but his legs were long like a giraffe. So, he didn't move that quickly. He just had his own pace. Corey had his own pace. So 2 months and 1 day after my only sister died, January 21st, 2000, in South Australia. 2 months and 1 day later, on the 22nd of March, Corey decided to end his life. And he had struggled. He had changed jobs. He had really, really not been able to manage depression. And he, like many, many other people, he also was diagnosed with, back then it was called manic depressive.
Okay.
And now it's bipolar.
Okay.
Very still much, either you're on a really, really big high or you hit really, really bad lows, and it's so hard to recover.
Yep.
And both of them are hard on the body.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're just happy and smiling and sailing through life. You can make a lot of decisions when you're manic.
Absolutely.
You can make a lot of bad decisions. You can buy things. You can
I was going to say financially.
Yes.
And relationally.
So it's not just the birds are singing, I'm happy, everything's great, and then you crash.
There needs to be balance.
Exactly. And so, like many people with this condition, he didn't like the way he felt when he was on medication.
Okay.
And in the end, he refused to take the medication. And he watched people, Kinsey. We had a celebration of life service for, of course, my sister here.
Right.
But back home in America, she spent the greatest portion of her life in America, and she had a huge amount of friends.
I bet.
And so we had this wonderful celebration of life service there. And I think Corey romanticized it. He could not get over all the people celebrating. And we released, because Constance always wore red number Shishido something lipstick, great big Jackie O brown glasses. She smoked cigars. She wore a Dreiser Bones coat and wore army boots. I do not know how Kapunda took her. I have no idea.
Especially back then.
She was a force. She was a force. You did not mess with her.
So funky.
But so red was her color, and we released hundreds of red balloons into the air.
Awesome.
And I think reliving that experience with so many people showing up to say how much they loved her. The pain was too great. He left me a 5-page letter to which I was able to, after years, decades, return to Memphis, the Shelby County Police Department, and I have his original letter. I have it. And he was just in too much pain. And when someone's in that much pain, they have to find a way to make it stop.
And there's just no rationality when you're in that state, I suppose.
No, so I always wanted answers. I always wanted answers. I mean, his letter told me some things, but I wanted to know how many people refuse medication. I wanted to know what makes the brain do this. I wanted to know how could anyone ever get to a point where they would do something like that. And the difference in my sister being killed in a car accident where I worked at this fantastic organization, and the difference in my son taking his life and how people responded in the Deep South was regrettable.
Wow.
It was inappropriate most times, but the CEO whom I worked for called me in and said, Patty, they just don't know what to say. They just don't know. It's too close, 2 deaths too close, and they don't know what to say. But a death is a death.
I was gonna say
a hole is left in your life, whether someone takes their life or someone's been hit by a car. That person whom you love more than anything on earth is missing, and they're not coming back. And so judgment has to stop. Judgment just has to stop. And you might want to say in silence or to yourself or to others that it's a sin, but to take your own life. But regardless, a person's still missing. Yeah,
and it's not up to anyone else to make that decision that it's not this or it's not that. And they were presented with someone that is grieving, and to not be able to hold them in their grief because of their own discomfort, like, that's probably the most selfish thing I've ever heard.
And he's still my son. I love him. I miss him to pieces. I talk to him on special days.
I bet you do.
His eyes were so blue. I light blue candles, and then I thought, I just want to study. I want to finish studying. I wasn't able to complete my university degree, so I went back, and I had many online professors and in-face professors tell me, you may not be happy with the answers that you find. What you discover on this journey may not tell you anything you want to know, and it may tell you some things that are very confronting. And they were right. But I'm still glad I did it. So I have a master's of counseling now after 5 whole years of study.
So the point of counseling was more so to get answers for yourself, and then as you progressed, did that semi-turn into something that you wanted to do for other people and to guide other people through that?
Yes, because I know what grief, great grief, feels like now. And you don't ever get over it, but you find this path through it. And you do know that after so much time passes by, and it's different for everyone,
absolutely,
that things start feeling a little more normal, and that you can choose any time you want to speak to your loved one who's deceased. You can pick the place. You can go out there. You can spend time. There's no one stopping you. But in the beginning, those concepts are hard to grasp.
Yeah, of course.
And so I like to help people through grief and bereavement. I like to help people who are lonely.
Yeah.
And then in the very, very end, I was fortunate enough to be with my mother when she was dying. And I watched her, I was with her die. And, I became a certified death doula also, because that was so important to me. And Kinsey, if I had just known half of the things that I learned through my course, I would have done some things differently with my mother, just because I have so much knowledge now.
Right.
But my only solace is the fact that I was there.
Yep.
I was there to the very, very end. And it's important when you love someone so much. It's hard for people when they're on other parts of the world and the person they love more than anything is dying. I can't imagine it. So I feel very, very fortunate and privileged to have been there.
Yeah, that's really such a special time to be with them in their most vulnerable state, I suppose.
And to watch life leave a body.
Yeah.
It's just...
What is that experience like?
Well, I'm probably going to sound absolutely ridiculous, but Mother would ask me to get into the bed with her. And I would lie with her, and we would hold each other's hands and talk. And we'd already done all the crying.
Of course.
We'd already told each other a million times how much we loved each other.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And my mother taught me how to take shorthand.
Okay.
And when I was a little bitty girl, I thought, I want to grow up and be a secretary. I want to type like the wind like my mother does. She could set a typewriter on fire, and she wrote this foreign. It looked like hieroglyphic language, and it was shorthand. And I thought, that's a smart woman.
Yeah,
I'm going to do
cool.
that. Well, I did. I learned how to type like the wind. I learned how to play the clarinet like the wind. I learned how to do shorthand. And so 2 nights before Mother died, she said, let's have a shorthand contest. And
Okay.
I thought, what? And so she'd say a sentence and we'd both write it. I'd say a sentence, we'd both write it. And then we'd hand each other our notebooks to see how we'd written it. And she was giving me grade A. And we were just giggling, and hallucinations had set in.
Okay.
And this is something that does set in.
Wow. Okay, I've never heard that.
It's beautiful. They're scared for a minute, but then when they keep returning, my mother would try to touch these stars, or she would try to, she'd go, there's Papa, there's Eddie, and Eddie was her father.
Okay.
There's Papa, and he looked so great in a suit. And she would describe everything that she was seeing, which was gorgeous. So that happened quite a few times, right before the end. And then I was on a pallet below Mom's bed the very, very last night. And I remember waking up sharply. So I ran to the little girl's room, came back, got under my blanket, but I couldn't go back to sleep. And I propped myself up on my elbow. And all of a sudden, there are guttural noises. There are deep breathing sounds that you get used to, but are quite scary if you've never experienced them before.
Okay.
They don't call it the death rattle anymore. That's just not the words that most people in hospitals use anymore. But it is significant.
Okay.
But that had calmed down. That had stopped. But I looked up, and I couldn't see Judy's face. I mean, it was right there in my line of sight. I could not see it. I wiped my eyes. I sat up. I stared. And instead of her face, there were these little, it was like white clouds, like a little puff of white cloud swirling. And I know I sound like I'm an insane woman, and I get it.
No way.
But I have the picture in my head. I watched it, and then it just, after about 2 to 3 minutes, it just dissipated. And Kinsey, I don't know about you, but I believe with all my heart and soul that was my mother's soul leaving her body.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps.
And one of my old African American friends who I love dearly had told me, now you make sure you open up that window, Miss Patricia. You
Really?
open up that window in your mama's bedroom, you open it up, because her soul's going to want to leave. And it can't leave if you don't open the window. Kenzie, I ran and I opened up my mother's bedroom window. And then I thought, Patricia, how old are you? What is wrong with you? But I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting in this chair, that was the last experience with my mother.
Yeah.
And
I believe it.
I covet it. I just hold it so close to me. And I want people to know, if you're in the room, if you're paying close attention, if you are awake, there are all sorts of little subtle signs, I believe. And I hold on to that.
Wow, that's brilliant.
I wish I could draw it.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I can imagine it so well.
I wish I were an artist and I could just paint it, but I can't. But I have it here.
I was gonna say, some things you're just not meant to give out to the rest of the world either. You can hold that personally, and as such an intimate experience between you two. You know, she was there for that too. That was her last moment with you as well.
That was. That was.
Wow, I've never heard anything like that.
Well, and some people, when they're sitting with their loved ones, and sometimes it can be hours, sometimes it can be days, sometimes it can be weeks, and people get frustrated and people get tired, and people just know it's the end, and sometimes they're not being selfish. They don't want their loved one to be in pain. They don't want their loved one to suffer. They just want their loved one to move on. But sometimes they stop paying attention. Yeah. Because they feel like they've given so much energy. So it's good if you can hold on with the attention until the end.
So
it's good.
Can you explain a little bit about the death doula side of your life? Is that something you're still practicing?
I haven't so much. I do volunteer at Kapunda Aged Care Homes because they're just like us.
Yeah.
They're just like us. They're funny. They're cranky. They're angry. You know, they want good food. They want good conversation. They want stimulation. And
fair enough.
Some of
so
them,
do I.
exactly. And some of them are still thinking that that new person that came in looks really good. I'd like to connect with that new person.
Cute.
These male-female relationships
oh my gosh,
is
I love
adorable. That. And of course, there are more women, more females than males.
Okay.
But I'm there because some of them have no visitors, absolutely zero visitors. Some have so many that you just think, oh, this is the best thing on the planet. Yeah. And you know that it's not that the ones who don't have visitors don't have a good life. Sometimes they're in a facility that's out of state.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, sometimes they're not around their loved ones, but there are some adults who put their parents in there, and then they're there, they think they're looked after, and they don't need to go and see them. Yeah. And so...
Oh man, my grandma was in a nursing home in her final days, and it was actually during COVID, and it's something that just honestly breaks my heart so much.
So nobody could see her. Nobody was allowed.
So nobody could see her. You know, she did have visitors before COVID happened, but a lot of people in nursing homes were dying of heartbreak, of loneliness.
That's the one rule. If
awful.
It ever happens again, they cannot do that. They cannot deny people who are dying from seeing their loved ones.
If they ever do that again,
the most cruel thing.
Yeah, there would be an
uproar. We're all going to break it.
Oh yeah, there's no way we're following those rules anymore.
No, we're not going to, because I think that's the biggest lesson to be learned. Yeah, you can't do that to people.
It's awful. So that's such a gift that you can give to people that are feeling that kind of loneliness that isn't from the government, is just in their own lives. And yeah, there's a lot of people that are in nursing homes that just live day to day, don't they? They don't know where their happiness can come from. I'm sure you're just molten. You're just such a bright light that you're like, and the sun shines here. You know.
I always like to say, I'm your person. I don't care if you're wearing diapers. If you're on, if it's your last 48 hours, you want a cigar and a shot of whiskey, I'm your girl.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's a great advertisement for a death doula.
I think so.
I just think, don't tell me no.
Yeah.
If that's what they want, I'm finding a way. To get it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't put anyone in danger.
As a final wish, like.
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a blessing.
Yeah.
Tell me about this next adventure. What's coming up for us?
Next adventure is pretty exciting for me. I have written my entire life. I write for therapy.
Yeah.
I write things that I don't think I can say out loud to others. I wrote copious amounts when my son took his life.
Wow.
I wrote when Constance had her accident. But beyond that, I'm always writing.
Yeah.
That's like a hobby, but a creative. It's my solace. It's my space that I go to.
Yep.
You know, I love working out with Pilates and weights and being with the girls in the tribe, but writing is my own thing.
Yep.
So, through counseling and after some bad experiences I've had in my life, I've written a fiction book. It's a work of fiction, but it is about domestic violence.
Okay.
And I'm really tired of people thinking it only happens to the uneducated, it only happens to the poor, it only happens to the people who don't have the money to find a way out, because none of that is true. 1 in 4 women, females in Australia, the United States, and the UK are living in domestic violence. And it's not acceptable.
No. It's not talked about enough at all.
It's not talked about enough at all. And we're going to hear another story where we will hear another story where a young woman and even her children are killed because he has lost control. He has to have control. Don't get me started on tracking either. That's a whole different rabbit hole we could go down right now. But it's not just about the physical abuse or the punch. It's about coercive control. It's about people taking hold of finances.
Yeah.
Any way imaginable. They can, and it's these men in suits who people find charming. Any person who wants to control a female is capable of being violent. And if a person has a history of abusing animals, if that's not a sign to you, that it doesn't always escalate, but 9 times out of 10 it does escalate to hurting humans. So what do books do? They introduce us to worlds that are not known to us. They introduce us to worlds that we might be interested in. Well, you may not be interested in domestic violence. It's not a nice subject. It's a dark subject.
Yeah.
But by golly, we all should be.
Absolutely.
You could have a sister, you could have an aunt, you could have a niece, you could have a mother or even a grandmother, and you may not even be aware that they're living in these situations.
And you think about how many friends and family members that you know, and you even just scroll through your social media, all these people that you're friends with on Facebook, and like you said, it's 1 in 4 people. So
think about those numbers again, 1 in 4. So we should be having conversations about it. So the book is dark, but there is this beautiful thread that runs throughout the entire book, this undercurrent of the tribe, the people that Morgan Sage, the protagonist, has to help her flee. She has 2 young children, Ollie and Opal. She has a 4-legged furry family member by the name of Dixie that is another child to this unit. And she suffers. And her friends and her tribe see only the best in this woman as she tries to escape. So I think you'll fall in love with some of the characters. It's cruel. They're really, really dark scenes.
I think that's a really interesting idea as well, is that you don't have to be, like you said, you don't have to be a certain way or like struggling with money. You can have a tribe of people around you, and there's still people that are experiencing that,
Yes, and some women trying to flee, trying to escape, don't have that tribe. And the best place to start would be a community center. Sometimes they don't have a way out of the home to even contact.
Absolutely.
They're trapped.
A lot of the time they don't, because they're isolated in those situations.
Exactly.
Because the best way to control somebody is to isolate them from their support network.
And that's what they do. And so if you have a friend that is dating someone new and you haven't seen them for a while, they're not coming around as often, well, that does happen in a new relationship.
Of course.
But if all of a sudden the communication is cut off and you go to the door and knock and no one's answering, that's when you start having deep conversations and trying to get in there to see what's going on.
Yeah.
You must. Because it takes one action from us to stop something.
That is so
possible.
true. And one door knock and listening to those instincts. I don't think those are instincts. I think those are signs that you need to check in on your friends.
Well, it is. In science, research, as a counselor, I know. We all read about the mind-body connection and the gut connection. Stop ignoring gut instincts. That is a true sign that something is not right. Something is going on. that needs to be examined.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter your color, it doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter at all about your financial status or the education you've attained.
No.
None of it matters. It can happen to any woman, any time.
So what are some signs actually that we can look out for our friends and family besides kind of them going distant a little bit?
Well, does he grab her arm or tell her no and is being playful? Does he keep her from getting up when she wants to go? Does he keep her from being the center of attention, or has her personality changed? Was she the center of attention? Was she this beautiful child, this beautiful woman who was just out there exerting herself, but now she's changed. Her demeanor has changed. She's more withdrawn.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big red flag. That's something to look out for.
Yeah.
Does he speak for her? You know, and sometimes you can be with a person, and I'd love to tell young people, especially if they're thinking about marriage, please give it 2 years. Please. Because you can hide a personality, you can hide lots of things, but all of a sudden, the 2-year period,
it comes unraveled.
It gets a little long to keep that shroud up. It does.
Yeah. And so often I feel like people like this are also, they paint themselves in like such a heroic way, and they're like typical for love bombing, aren't they? I'll take care of you. I can do this for you, and it wears off.
Everybody thinks they're charming, and that's what they do. They get everybody in her circle to absolutely adore them, so they could never think anything rotten about them, and that's planned. That's manipulating. That's planned.
Yeah, it's awful. So when is your book released? What is it called? Tell us everything.
The name of the book is Madness in Memphis.
Brilliant.
And the debut release is the 27th of November.
Oh my gosh.
The ebook is available for pre-order right now. It's going to be available in 40,000 stores throughout the world. It's going to be on Amazon.com. Well, I mean, that's the way the world works.
Yeah.
So ebook is available. You can go to...
So good.
www.patriciagordonstevens.com.
Great.
And the information is there to sign up.
Awesome.
To be told when the book's coming out and to sign up for the pre-order.
Right. Great. You'll be able to get it from this Spotify link. Thank you so much for just your vulnerability and authenticity and just telling your story and just, being you and sharing awareness about domestic violence through your book. And
you're so kind. Everybody has a story, don't they? It's just, do we take the time to listen and to get to know there are gazillion stories in the whole world. We'll never have time to get through them all, will we?
No, not between us two anyway.
No, not between us two. We need to multiply.
Yes. All right. Well,
thank you, Kinsey. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.